let's go ahead.
They must want something from us. I just want nothing from the humans of Earth.
That is why I did not want to leave my chair. Someone got in it. Munchkins took over the studio, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you are watching and listening to the Not Too Late show. My name is Henry L. Hank DeMond. This is a roughly monthly program that we do. We do this program roughly once a month. And we talk about a number of things, I guess centered around the principle of history and the discipline of history. I was not a history major in college, but for some reason, I just enjoy reading history books and have been reading history books for, X number of years now, and have taken delight in being able to demonstrate to other people just exactly how to read and how to read history. What's considered good history? What's good to learn? I know that when we were in high school many years ago, that a lot of you out there who are probably in your 40s, 50s, sat through class and were incredibly bored because of the way history was presented. Now I'm like sort of at this stage where it's like, well, history is actually a pretty cool subject, and I've take delight in knowing a subject thoroughly. Once I pick a topic that I am interested in, but so we focus on that angle. We'll focus on books that have come out, books that have been out for a few years. Usually, when I'm researching a topic that's got some distance between us and when it happened, I'll look at certain books that were contemporary to the times, and by authors that are long dead, but still review it and take it into consideration and evaluate for you folks out there whether or not it's even worth examining. So I have with me in the studio Carrie Kaufman.
Hi, everyone.
Who's
I am fashionable.
Running.
Thank you very much. I love that.
Running interference. So
Yes.
it never fails. We're 5 minutes out, and it was like, oh, we're all set, and we're all just kind of sitting around staring at each other. And then Carrie goes over there and starts experimenting with something, and then it's like it blows up.
No, you're the one who's been sitting around going, I'm just sitting here. I'm the gorgeous talent. I'm like, okay, I got to do this. I got to do this. Got to do this. Yes, you get to sit. You nice, comfy chair. Good for you. Yes. I'm the one running around like a estrogen-filled chicken with my head cut off.
The reason I mentioned the books and the history aspect of the show is because that's not the only thing that we focus on. It's not going to be like NPR where it's like, okay, we're going to open page 2 of this book and just read to you from it. No, I know this is. I try to make it a little more interesting than that, and on top of it, there's another layer to the program, and there's kind of a an independent education aspect, a homeschooling aspect. Especially if you got kids out there and you don't really know that much about history, we can help you out with the books. But also, when you go on trips and stuff, this is a big planet we've got, and a big country, and we operate in a big state, and there's lots of stuff out there that you might be walking by or driving by at 70 miles an hour and not even know is there or has any historical significance to it. So I try to look into that aspect as well. 3 or 4. Our last guest. I can't believe it's been that long since we've had a guest on.
It's been way too long.
I'm so embarrassed.
Got to make the phone calls.
Yeah, I know. Got to reach out to them, right?
You can get Righteous Hal on the phone. Say, hear that? We got a job for you, sweetie.
Yeah. We had a gentleman who was part of the historical commission, and he had written a book about certain sites, about certain forts, military forts in Texas, and when we had him on a few months ago.
Maybe that yellow piece of
You need this number?
I need that number.
Okay. And so, and what's very fascinating, what's interesting around that is there's a couple of the sites that he recommended. I actually went to one of them. One of them was Fort Davis. So we'll talk a little bit about that. You've done some traveling, is that correct?
I do just a little bit of traveling. Well, I figured if summer's almost over, I had plenty of time to make up. Well, the first thing we did, I want to talk about, we went to the Mesquite Rodeo, and we had a heck of a time there. And I do have a video. Don't show it just yet. But I do want to show that. But before
Don't touch that dial.
Yes. And of course, it's showing me errors. Okay. Anyways, we went to the Mesquite Rodeo is one of the big rodeos. That and the Fort Worth Stockyards. That happens once a year as well. Mm-hmm. And I think the Mesquite Rodeo, they're wrapping up here in about a week or two, maybe. I think it's this weekend they're wrapping up with the big show. But we had a lot of fun. I mean, and I had a video and it didn't work out, but it's like, I never knew a horse could jump that high. And it was like I was watching, one of the first things they entreat us to is the bucking bronchos. And this horse is like jumping 5 feet in the air to get this poor guy. And this guy just like slapping him around on the back of the horse. You know, he's wearing this neck brace to protect him. And the horse finally goes, jumping's not working. So he runs straight into the wall with the rider on him. And that didn't work either. But the poor guy is, got his hand wrapped on purpose, hand wrapped to the horse. And I just know the guy's thinking, what on God's green earth am I thinking getting on this thing? And so, and of course, I hear a rumor that they put straps on the poor little horsey in places where straps should not go.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and...
Sure. Well, yeah, why do you think they're so hard and so high?
Well, my husband leans over, and I won't repeat exactly what he said, but to the effect of, that horse is thinking right now, I'm getting this...
Yeah. Right.
I'm thinking, poor little horsey. Mm-hmm. So, and then after that, this past weekend, we did kind of a big tour. We went to the Creation Evidence Museum, and I think... Suzanne, I cannot read that far away. I don't have my glasses on.
It says X-Fire.
Oh. Thank you. I can't get on X-Fire right now.
Is that the place in Glen Rose?
No, X-Fire is an instant messaging utility. So that
No, I'm at the Creation Museum place.
Anyways.
I can follow a gag, sister.
I can't, not right now. I've told you I can't drink caffeine.
You can't?
No,
okay.
I get headaches now. If I have withdrawals like 2 days later.
Oh, well, that's why you're supposed to keep drinking it.
That's expensive. Anyways, all right. So, Susie, there won't be X-Fire right now. What was I talking about? Okay, we went to the Creation Evidence Museum.
Yeah.
And Susie, if you could show a couple of those pictures, I'm unable to see them.
I assume that it's not in Glen Rose then. That's not the one I'm thinking.
It is in Glen Rose.
Oh, okay.
Yes, this is the one that's in Glen Rose. And just show them, Susie, like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Okay. And, but yeah, it was really neat because this was a museum that showed, first of all, dinosaurs and historical artifacts. The guy travels all over the world. And Bonner, I think, oh goodness, I should remember his name, but I don't. But it's a guy he studied archaeology, and he's got a PhD in something else. Mm-hmm. And he goes all over the world, does his studies, but there's also a location in the Texas area, a little bit in Glen Rose, a little bit near Brownwood, and there's like pockets of areas that he comes and does some excavations. Mm-hmm. And he's found dinosaur bones locally. He's found, one of them was called a and again, and I don't have the internet. All my files are in Dropbox.
Arkadelphia rhinoceros?
Yeah, something like that. Something saurus. Yeah, all my files are on Dropbox, so I don't have that information in front of me. But yes, but there's a dinosaur that was evidently pretty prominent in that particular area, and they've got, claw prints. Susie, can you find the claw print that's on there and show that? Okay, thank you. But so she's probably pulling up right now what looks like, and that I believe was an authentic one. He had some replicas. He had some. Of the real ones, and so the ones that were more priceless, he has them in a private collection somewhere. But he also had some like pots and sheepskin scrolls from Russia and all kinds of artifacts that relate to biblical history. And so it was really just a neat thing to see. And one of their biggest claims is because they believe that dinosaurs walked, which is very contradictory to evolutionary beliefs. They're extremely creationist, and they believe that dinosaurs and humans walked on the earth together. And in fact, one of the places that they found fossilized footprints was a dinosaur going that way and a human going that way.
Oh, and they established that they were at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, so that evidently, and if you look, they've got a scale model of Noah's Ark. They took Susie, how many years did it take them to build that?
2 or 3.
2 or 3 years? And it's a 1/20th of the size of what the real thing probably was. And so, and they put little animals and humans, and they have these big water wells at each end of it. And I mean, they didn't just build the thing, they actually thought about how they might have survived. So it was real, and that was worth the whole thing of just going and seeing that. I mean, to me it was just kind of cool just to study that for a while.
Interesting.
So.
Okay. And then you also went to the Dublin Dr. Pepper plant?
I went to the Dublin, and
Dr. Pepper. Oh, I'm
not
sorry.
Dr. Pepper plant
I misspoke.
anymore.
Shame.
Yes, this is what they're selling now. They don't sell Dr. Pepper there anymore, or any of their others, but they do have the Dublin Cherry Limeade and the Dublin Retro Grape. And so if you go to the Dublin Bottling Works.
Body Works. Bath and Dublin Body Works.
Yeah, you see where
Take Bath and
this
Dr.
is what
Pepper.
I'm going to do after the show today.
Nice. Like a Bath and Dr. Pepper. That would be pretty good.
Right. Well, they no longer. Yeah, and they do still have the Dr. Pepper Museum. And are you showing those slides, Susie?
Just
Yeah, and I think if you'll pull up, there's a couple of the machines that they showed off. You can show some of those machines for me. But they had, they showed us the machines where they clean the bottles, because the bottles are recyclable, so they wash the bottles, and they have machines that do that, and then they go around, then they have to put the liquid in them, then they have to inspect the liquid. And then they had the museum of all the Dr. Pepper history, because they were a Dr. Pepper plant, and then they have the annex across the street. Can you show some of those pictures of the annex, Susie? Okay, she's ahead of me.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But it was really cool. I mean, so to see the Dr. Pepper history, they've been around, that particular plant has been around for over 100 years.
Right.
They were the first one. Sam Prim, I believe his name, was the one that started it up.
Okay.
And it's where Dr. Pepper first started.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, then they got a lawsuit and shut them down.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, we went there a little over a year ago. I guess it was spring break last year, or right before spring break last year, that we went there, and it was the day after they had made the announcement. So it was,
yeah.
So
y'all just missed it.
Yeah. So, and my late father-in-law, he had numerous. He had numerous jobs. He was one of those people that just did everything. Before he got his, the last job that he had, he did for 25 years or so. And but before that, he had worked in all kinds of jobs in all kinds of industries. And one of the best stories he told was about working at Dr. Pepper and how he he said that it was probably one of the worst jobs he ever had, because it was so hot they didn't air condition it.
Yeah, because that window is right there.
Yeah, and he'd worked there, and he said it was one of the worst jobs he ever had. And he said that you could take a break if the bottling mechanism broke down, and he said the breakdowns were rather frequent, and so they would stop, and then they would drink Dr. Pepper as their mode of refreshment. So yeah, he said that it was there were people who were fraternity guys from SMU that would go and go there work. They would answer an ad in the paper, and they would show up, and then the next day they wouldn't show up again. He said that he had worked there a week, and that he had gotten a job doing something, working for the Texas Transportation Texas Highway Department, like picking up trash or something. He took that job over the over the Dr. Pepper plant job.
Oh, wow.
And actually, I don't think he worked to stand corrected and not to give bad credit where credit is due. I don't think it was the Dublin plant that he worked at. I think it was in South Dallas or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And it was 50 or 60 years ago anyway.
Right.
So.
Well, I feel sorry for anyone who works, because what they do now, they only do the bottling like once a month because they don't, they only have like a 44-mile radius. And so they can't really do a whole lot. So it's just once a month they get in there, and they said the summer months are very difficult because you see it, and it's just a window right there, and your back is to the window. That sun beats in. So, anyways, and if we have time, Susie begged me and begged me and begged me and begged me. I did something really crazy at, and again, I don't have it set up, so you get to see this later, but I don't know. Should we take a vote? Should we show the really crazy thing I did?
Well, why not? I mean, if we got like 2 minutes, we'll do
It
that.
only takes about 15 seconds.
All right.
So go ahead and roll it.
Roll them.
Okay.
Is it done?
Yes. So,
I'll see it in a few seconds here. Laughing hysterically.
yes. Okay. So when he gets there, but yeah, we decided to ride a mechanical bull, and I decided to shell out my $5 and do something really. And the guy was real nice about it. He's like, went really slow.
Yeah.
Or so it seemed, until he was like, okay, that's enough. Wait. And so. Yeah, it's just he decided to whip that thing really hard, and I'm like, seriously, I was having so much fun, but okay.
Well, all those karate lessons, or taekwondo, I guess. Taekwondo did you some good.
That and the drill team.
Yeah.
Because the drill team strengthened my legs, so I was gripping that bull for everything it was worth with my thighs. But yeah, okay.
First, I want to give a shout out to Elm Tutoring and tell them thanks for sponsoring the show. We've talked about what's it called?
Homeschooling?
Homeschooling.
There
yes.
you go.
Yes. Talk about homeschooling. We do have one child who in our family who is homeschooled, and I know that parents don't always have the ability to our parents are smarter than us, right?
Yeah, but we hope.
As a rule.
At least that's the impression they give us if they're really
really savvy at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we don't know everything, and so sometimes we need a little help providing our homeschooler with some good schooling, some good education. And I know in my family, my wife and I are kind of so-so at math. We took advanced courses in college, and I got through it, but asked me for any practical application.
563 plus 200.
Forget it. I remember a squared b squared equals c squared plus b. Right? I actually did use that yesterday. I can share that with you another time. But anyway, Elm Tutoring. They're based in California. And I'm sorry, I don't have the information. I knew I was forgetting something today, but we will. Yeah, I know.
Last week was so good.
Last month was just we just flowed, and then this, you go on vacation, and
that's it.
Should just never go on vacation because it just messes you up. Cluster messes you up, doesn't it? Anyway, but we'll be sure to on the break we'll get all their information down, and we'll be sure to get it out there and disseminate it. But once again, thanks to them. Now, if you're ready for me to talk about, yes. I first of all, I have to credit Righteous Owl, my wife, for planning. Talk about preparation. I was at my 40 hour, And I was sitting there at my desk and trying to finish some things up. I had about a week to go, or well, no, it was more than that. I think it was about 2 weeks to go before I actually found out when I was going on vacation, because Thunder was in horse camp.
Okay.
And the objective was that we were going to go pick him up from horse camp in West Texas near Fort Davis, a place called Prude Ranch, and I had gotten. I kind of scratched my head a little bit and said, I wonder if Leslie's got this thing planned out. I wonder if my wife has got this thing planned out. And sure enough, like that night I came home and she had the whole thing. I mean, I don't know, she must have done it in an afternoon, and
I can believe it.
She planned out this entire trip. Well, I mean,
she probably had it detailed to the minute.
Yeah, well, pretty much so.
Yep.
because our days were packed, and we did just the right amount of. Last night, we did just the right amount of travel time. So we spent just the right amount of time in the car. We'd spent just the right amount of time in the hotel and motel rooms, and we saw sites that had to do with history. We had sites that had to do with Texas history. We saw some nice, pretty scenery. We got outside and hiked. We saw Native American Indian things. We saw stars, and we made our own meals. We had meals out. I mean, it was
You made your own meals?
Well, yeah, sure.
Like sandwiches?
Like yeah. No, we hunted wild boar and
got out the bow and arrow.
Yeah, I like to get back to nature, but not quite that that much.
Or you always get Thunder out there, and he could stomp the ground to death.
He could yell at the animals.
There you go.
But just to maybe I'll try to cover. I won't try to. I'm not going to strain to cover everything. Let me put it that way. But we started out in Fort Davis. From where we sit right now is a good 8 hours. You spend about 6.5 of those hours driving down I-20 on westbound, and lots of windmills and things like that.
Oh.
And wind power. Well, not windmills, but wind power. And it was kind of funny because that day, that afternoon was particularly warm and still, and it was the wind power thingies weren't turning. The turbines weren't turning on the day when you need it. When you need air conditioning.
Well, yeah, of course.
So yeah, sure. Right. Yeah. But the place where we picked up Thunder was at a place called Prude Ranch, which had been there for I believe over 100 years, and so it was a very good place. Once again, if you have children, I guess, who are, I guess they started them out for fairly young, I guess 7 or 8 years old, and you want to get them kind of in touch with nature, a good summer camp kind of environment, where they're away from home for the first time, but need to do all those things that young kids need to do, and getting them some real training on real horses. It's a great place. It's a fun camp, and Thunder had a good time so far as we know.
Awesome.
Well, I'll talk a little bit more, maybe related to some of the things that we're looking at on the. I don't know how many of these photos we're going to get out there, but. Right now, let's take a break and get ourselves squared away. Well, anyway, we're on I-20, and it's the first day of the trip, and we stop at a place called Allen's Family Style.
Okay.
And I in Sweetwater. And anybody that's been through Sweetwater or knows about Sweetwater, Texas, knows that it's it's not in the most attractive part of the world, or part of the country, or part of the state. But the folks there are really great people, and it's a great small town. It's typical Texas small town. And now you've done family style, I'm sure, like at Babe's, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Right. Okay. So how many sides do you recall getting that you can get at
When you
Babe's?
say family style, you mean like the when they put the thing in the middle and you get
Yeah.
Usually get like 3 or 4.
3 or 4. This place had like a dozen sides.
Wow.
I mean, there were basically 2 entrees. You could have chicken, or you could have what was it? I think brisket or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's true.
Actually, brisket was in the evening, but we went for lunch, so you get chicken and sausage, I think, or something like that. But nonetheless, I mean, collard greens. I mean, I personally love collard greens.
Oh, I grew up on collard greens.
Yeah, and you even in the city, you can't find, if you go to Babe's, you can't, you're not going to get collard greens as a side, and they had it here. They had this one dish, Carrie, that was, it looked like cauliflower. It looked like cauliflower that had been soaked in some kind of, butter mixture, and it wasn't cauliflower. It was mashed potatoes. And they were just like saturated. I mean, it was just like
Mashed potatoes not supposed to look like that.
They were all. It was more, but it looked like that because there was more butter than mashed potatoes, and I didn't even know you could do that. I had no idea.
That's somebody who wants to. That's a Paula Deen aficionado right there. It's like, let's just add a little more butter, honey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was pulls a skink's tail, and Righteous Al and I were particularly impressed with this place. I thought it was a lot of fun. Am I having interference issues?
Well, you were about to yank a cord from the wall.
Oh, lovely. Boy, we're just on fire today. So anyway, I talked about the Prude Ranch, and it was warm, but it wasn't god awful like like it can get here. Mm-hmm. And I can't stand this anymore. I got to have this elevated, and I don't have the leverage to up it.
Okay, remember when I said 11:15 is late for me?
I went out and got lunch, and I didn't even think like, oh well, testing. You lean over and you go testing, and so then it's like now I'm like, I can't do this all for another hour and a half.
Tall. You're supposed to let the camera make you look larger.
But we'll get it squared away.
We'll get it squared away.
We were at Prude Ranch, and I was astonished at how big it was, and how pretty the Davis Mountains were. And there's all this talk about global warming and the ocean levels, and the deserts completely drying up and things like
deserts completely drying up.
Desertification, right? Of everything. So, but if this was like supposed to be, it's supposed to be desert, but there's like dry desert. There's like Sahara Desert where it's all sand.
Right. That's usually what people think of, like Death Valley Desert or Sahara.
Right, but no, this is like desert that's like got some
cactus.
Yeah, reasonable ecology, level of ecology.
There's probably a couple of little oases around.
Sure, yeah, and but it was green. I mean, everything in the Davis Mountains was green, and it was almost looked like Ireland. It was so green. It was very, very pretty, very lovely.
Wow.
So I don't know, where are we on the images? You said you have them up for me. But I don't see
yes,
them.
they are in the wrong. I did have them up. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
So we're talking about number 10 right there, or do I need to get them a little closer to you?
Oh well, let me put up number 1. Number 1 is I don't know if Muniz is the right name for it. I don't have it in front of me, but.
Muskies Ruins.
Oh, Muskies, yeah, okay, Muskies Ruins. Mm-hmm. We were driving along and we stopped and we saw an historical marker, and in light of Thomas Alexander's book, we're starting to take a little more interest in some of this stuff. And we looked at it and we were like, well, what is that? And then and so I was like, well, it was actually one of the first settlers to that particular region, and that was what was left of their property or their establishment, and it didn't seem like much, but it's still, if you read the marker and read about what they had to do to get there and stay there, it was pretty remarkable. It got overrun by Indians, and
that happens.
And it was while it was, Mexico. I believe it was part of me. I was part of Mexico, so it was after 1819, but before 1845. When Texas became official. So that was interesting. The second thing, the second slide is of a particular grave site. And this was interesting to mention because. And this is just outside of Fort Davis. I don't remember the name of the highway. I can look it up later. But what we did was we stopped. There was an historical marker there, and then there was like this sidewalk that had barbed wire on either side of it. It was like a very narrow sidewalk, and it was overgrown. There was like weeds and stuff on the sidewalk, and it was probably about a 100-yard walk down this sidewalk, and then lo and behold, there's a grave site, right? A big lumpy grave site with overgrown. Well, there's like on either side of the barbed wire, there's a trailer home, and on the other side of the barbed wire, there's a trailer home, and there's a dog barking, an angry dog barking, and
you're probably waking the dead.
A half-built tractor on one side, it's kind of rusted. It's some other junk and a kid's playground, and
Wow.
but you keep walking, and then there's like a mountain, a sort of a mountain, and then there's the gravesite, and I was like, wow. And I walked back and I told Leslie, well, there is you can get back there. I mean, it's there's nothing that says no trespassing. Oh. So we walked back there, and and that's the second slide there. That's one of the people that founded the area there.
Yeah, that's a small little thing. Show that again, Susie.
Yeah, and it's a little overgrown.
It's like an itty bitty.
Somebody needs to take care of it, and it's a very interesting mix of like white people and Hispanic people, and and Spanish names and American names and Dutch names.
So was it locals? Was it military? Was it like what were the years on it?
No, it was just a community. Probably the first victims there were probably from 1850s or so.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it goes up to about the 1890s. So.
Oh, okay. So it's a.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that Righteous Owl was taking some pictures, and she says. Pulls a Skeeksdale and I are walking, and she says, "Don't come over here." I said, "Well, what's up?" And
oh, no.
she had taken a picture of a tombstone, and she'd stepped back, and she put her foot in the ground.
Okay.
And her foot went down about 8 inches or 9 inches or so, and left an imprint there. And she looked up, and there's like the tombstone. Like put it right on the guy's chest. So,
are you kidding?
Well,
she stepped on.
Well,
I mean, was he in a casket, or she?
I'm sure there was a casket
or did
there,
you hear
and
a crunch under her foot?
And I'm sure it was. I'm sure that whoever it was well below. Well below, but nonetheless, it's
Hey, lady, get off my grave.
Yeah. Yeah, that would mess me up pretty good too. Oh,
Have a little
man.
audio right there.
I was just like smiled and said, "Oh, it's okay, honey." But she didn't. To her credit, she didn't weep. She didn't cry. She didn't. She got in the car.
Why'd she go
drove
down?
off.
Was it there was a hole there? Or?
Because the soil there is just relatively unstable. There's lots of sand. There's lots of dust. There's lots of mud. There's all kinds of. I mean, it's not like. It's not like walking in your backyard and you're walking on St. Augustine and you can get from one end to the other without falling in a hole.
Oh, so this is like unmown, untended.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. It's not very level. So, yeah. So anyway, that was fun.
Okay, and then what is, I have been itching to ask you about this. What is weird plant?
Weird plant, yes.
Yes, number 3.
I'd have to, once again, it's another one of those things I'd have to look up, but we were fascinated by this particular plant because it said, at least in the description, because it had these really neat green leaves on them, and they stretched out all over, and the description said that what happens is that for this particular plant, if it gets too dry, if there's too much of a drought, it will just drop its leaves, right?
Which looks like the one in the back is doing.
Oh, does it? Well, it's still but it's still alive.
Okay.
But then, if a summer rain comes, it just takes one summer rain, all the leaves magically come back.
Really?
Yeah. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, they magically pop back. So I thought that was, I thought it was pretty neat. And I've never seen anything. A lot of this stuff, like the yucca and some of the other plants, some of the sages. I mean, we have those type of plants in this part of Texas, but that one was just like I've never
heard of one like that.
Any such thing.
Yeah, they just kind of twip, and we're back.
Yeah. Slide number 4 there is I think that's righteous owl in front of a sage, which is talk about the purple sage.
Yeah. I didn't realize sage.
Riders of the purple sage.
Pretty.
Yeah, it's something, isn't it?
It is. It's beautiful. Was that in front of like a courthouse? Or?
That is in front of the Jeff Davis County Courthouse. Yes.
Okay.
Which is particularly interesting in and of itself. Yeah.
And where is Jeff Davis Country Courthouse?
That is in Fort Davis.
Okay.
Fort Davis, Texas, which is, you got the Panhandle, right? And then you come down here to Big Bend, the Big Bend area. Well, the top of Big Bend is square, and then so if you go like right in the middle, that's where Fort Davis is.
So let's talk about our good friends.
Yes. Homeschooling is not for the faint of heart. Sometimes kids run into roadblocks, and their parents can feel stuck right alongside them. This happens most often with math and science, as I was trying to tell you earlier.
Yes.
In my own eloquent way. There is help available. Elm Tutoring specializes in helping parents keep their children home. Elm offers homeschool tutoring for just $15 per week. And this low price will get you twice a week tutoring in math, chemistry, or physics. Help from a dedicated Christian tutor, and best of all, proficiency in these difficult fields of study. I don't know anything that you can get for $15 a week.
That's really, $15 a week, that's $60 a month.
Yeah.
That's for that kind of personal service. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And do you have to be a homeschooler to get this service, or they do tutoring as well, like after school tutoring?
I'm sure they would. I'm sure they do. It says Elm gives your student instruction, assignments, and even weekly quizzes. And the result, a high quality education that far surpasses what is available in the public schools.
Right. And they're internet based, so they're not like local to the Texas area.
Right. Yeah. They'll work with you. It sounds like they'll work with you over the phone or over the internet. And
oh, cool.
Yeah,
so do a little Skyping, or
well,
we'll find out.
Yeah. They say visit us at elmtutoring.com. www.elmtutoring. ELM
should be showing up on the. Okay.
And
phone number that's right down there.
Yeah.
Look right there. What you see right there in the blue.
Somebody's taking care of us, I guess. And click on the homeschooling or call at here's the number 559-877-8710. 559-877-8710. And Elm Tutoring, helping homeschoolers stay home. Yeah. So, like I was trying to segue earlier, one of the great things about having a homeschool kid or having homeschool children is that you can take a vacation anytime, just about anytime you want.
Yep.
You don't necessarily have to go in the summer. We just happen to be doing it this summer because we do have pulls a skink's tail. He is enrolled in school. He's enrolled in regular school, and then. But also because Thunder was doing the horse camp at Brood Ranch. That funny looking plant. Go back to that to refer back to that funny looking plant. We don't necessarily have to show it if we're doing this in any kind of order. But that is from the Chihuahuan Desert Nature Preserve, which is just outside
Chihuahua Desert. So is that? So I take it they're near Mexico, or
I reckon it's close enough to Mexico that that they can still call it the Chihuahuan Desert.
Right. The reason why I'm saying it must be like really close to the Texas border because you got Mexico and, or else from your view, Mexico, and then they actually have a state called Chihuahua. Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming it's right there near. Yeah. So y'all went really south.
Yeah. Well,
no, you're in.
Yeah, south and west. Yeah.
So y'all were right there by the Mexican border.
Right. Yeah. We could have swam across the Rio Grande if we wanted to.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't let you do that. Have they started? Never mind.
Or as Pulls a Skink's Tail calls it, Chow Wow, the Chow Wow Desert.
Plus is hard.
And so then, looking at the next slide.
Okay, which is
that's part of Brood Ranch. That's the rodeo that they have there.
So y'all went to a rodeo too?
Yes.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Yeah. They don't move quite as fast, but.
Well, everything's bigger in Texas. Just saying.
Yeah. And then you got slide number, I guess, for your daughter's benefit, slide number 6.
Number 6?
That is a part of the Fort Davis ruins. And Thomas Alexander talked to us about, he didn't talk specifically about Fort Davis, and I don't quite remember because sometimes I don't sit around all afternoon and listen to my old shows, but I think he mentioned a couple of good forts to go to, and this one was particularly a good one because there was a lot of stuff there. Now I've talked on the show about Fort Parker, which was one of the first family forts that was attacked by Comanches and pretty much burned to the ground.
By family, you mean like it didn't house just the military? It was
right. It was the first settlers that built the fort. Mm-hmm. But it was reconstructed, and we had gone over spring break and visited that place, which is in kind of East Texas, central East Texas. Okay, and then but it's like. I think it's privately owned, and I think it's completely fabricated, right?
Okay.
Now, I don't mean to make that sound negative, but it's always good to know: am I looking at the real thing, or am I looking at am I looking at a reconstruction? Because you feel awful silly later, right? You're like, oh, I thought that was real. So, but anyway, lots of Fort Parker. Lots of the original fort is still there, and then they do have some reconstructions.
Okay.
And some displays and some things, some artifacts, and some articles of clothing and military uniforms and guns. There's lots of guns there.
Guns are always good.
Some things that are reproductions, and there are other things that are authentic. So, and you kind of have to ask the docents. They do have people who mill around and point things out for you and help you out and help you get your head squared around the time in history. Mm-hmm. And so that was good. I was really impressed with that. And then there's this
one, the conference room.
Oh, well, that's coming up later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got a gap in here apparently.
Okay.
The next thing, and then I thought I had the photo in here, but I guess I didn't. I had a photo. It was just to be funny. Mm-hmm. I had a photo of just black, and that was a picture I took while I was at McDonald Observatory.
What?
McDonald Observatory. You remember that? It's a giant. It's a I know it's a family show, but the only way I can describe it's a big-ass telescope, okay? And they and it's run by UT, the University of Texas system.
Okay.
And they have all their geeky physics and astronomy guys out there, checking the stars out. And they had a program, if you're in the area or in the region, they had a program there that was just very entertaining and very, very helpful. And I don't. Was it the last show? At some point, we were talking about constellations. And one night, a couple months ago, I had pulled his skink tail out into the backyard to show him the stars because he had asked some questions or something. And I was like pointing out, well, that one I think is the big octopus, and then that one's the Greek porcupine.
Oh, hey. Well, you had the right idea.
I don't know. I got about half of them right. I know Orion. I know. I think I can point out Scorpio and
and then there's Cassiopeia is the easy one.
The Big Dipper, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So the W is the Cassiopeia, right?
There you go.
The chair, right? So
the chair.
I knew some of those, and the chair Cassiopeia. That's what it's called. That
the chair. Well, I thought Cassiopeia was a lady.
No, it's the chair that she sits in.
Oh, okay.
That's what the W is.
Oh.
It's a funny-looking lady with shaped like a W.
Well, that's like Orion is probably the only one that to me actually looks like what it's supposed to be because it's a guy going like that.
Yeah. Well, so what they do is the guy takes you're like the guy's talking about stuff, and you're like, well, what's he doing? And then all of a sudden he gets at this high, I don't know how to describe it. It's just a super duper laser pointer, and it goes like straight up into the sky. And he says, here's this star, and there's this star, and this one's a red giant, and that one's a. And it was great. It was awesome.
I've never seen that. Like somebody actually had a laser pointer that he could point to.
Yeah, he could right on the dome there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So y'all were inside the planetarium?
No. I'm talking about the dome in the sky.
Oh.
The firmament. I mean, the laser pointer went all the way to the firmament.
Wow, that's it's like, God was up there going, are you looking at me?
Yeah. You want something? Get that out of my eye. Yeah.
All right.
But see out there, and I noticed this because you don't usually when you look in the sky, just about anywhere you go, you'll see planes flying over.
Yeah.
Right. Out there, you don't see any planes. There's no planes.
Well, y'all are out in the sticks.
Oh yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah. This is the strict definition of middle of nowhere. But it must have been so peaceful.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, and nice breeze,
And so that was not this weekend. It was the weekend before.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So y'all missed the meteor shower by 1 week.
We missed it by about 3 or 4 days, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because that was.
However, we did see. We did see stuff. We did see a little bit
of Perseids.
Yeah, we saw. In fact, somebody went, "Ooh, a shooting star," and the guy says, "No, it's called a meteor."
Let's get this correct. Yes. Oh, good. So he was educated.
He was extremely geeky. So.
Right.
And then you get to look through telescopes. They have two super duper telescopes. One was focused on Saturn, and you could like see the rings and everything.
Yeah.
And then they had other smaller, lesser telescopes scattered around that could look at certain galaxies and things. And
what I love to do is because when I was in college, I got to take astronomy, they had this big. When I say big old powered. Of course, this was years ago. And it was exciting to me to look through, and I could see all the mountains on the moon. It's just all the ridges, all the mountains, to see everything just that crisp and clear. It was that was cool to me. And I could actually see all the moons on Jupiter. It was like it was tilted in such a way you could just kind of because I think Jupiter, don't they have rings also? They found out?
Yeah, it's got something going on.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, that's my geek moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One of them. That was fun.
And then we'll keep rolling a little bit more here with this.
You got 12 seconds. 10, 9.
According to that.
Wait, not anymore. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. So we left the Davis Mountains. We stayed at a nice bed and breakfasty place there that apparently was cool for children because my kids were there, being kids, and the owners.
Yeah, I saw your tweets about that.
The owners didn't seem to mind. So then we headed north to New Mexico and went up toward the Gila Mountains.
The Gila Mountains.
Gila Mountains.
Oh,
and I had to ask Thunder, because he's the animal expert. I had to ask him, well, isn't there such a thing as a Gila monster?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's not. I don't think that's Spanish, is it? Or Mexican,
yeah,
is it? Is it?
Yeah. And what we were told, I don't remember which local told us this, but we were told that the actual Gila lizard,
Except they pronounce it Gila.
Gila, yeah, is actually stays in the lower parts of the mountains. It says it's toward the base of the mountains.
Okay.
And that they're really shy or something. They don't see them.
Really?
They don't see them very often. Yeah.
And they call them Gila monsters?
Well, that's what I thought.
So they're big?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Scary looking things?
Yeah.
Don't get close to them?
Yeah, right.
Don't try to pet. Don't try to pet the Gila, baby. Ow.
But where we stayed was, and I'm sorry, I don't have the name of the place, and otherwise I would recommend it. We stayed at a nice place that was also relatively kid friendly.
Cool.
And I'll tell you why is because they offered there was a river, a creek, and you could go down and pan for gold.
Oh, cool.
They supplied the shovel and the pan, and
yeah,
here's the path, and we walked down. And
was there any? I mean, did y'all get a couple of grains?
We saw a few flecks, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the boys, they were fascinated by every neat little shiny rock anyway.
Yeah. Well, of course. Look at this. So y'all probably picked up some fool's gold, or did y'all pick up like real?
Well, no, we didn't get any real gold to speak of. I'd have to look back at the rocks that we did get, because once you take them out of the water and they kind of lose their luster, so it's like,
but your kids,
it's just a rock. But
yeah, your kids are like my kids. It'd be like shiny. It doesn't care what it is.
Yeah.
And then your house fills up with.
Yeah.
It's like we actually had to get a flower pot. The rocks go that way in the flower pot. They don't fit in the flower pot. You don't get to keep them.
And then there were other hiking trails on there, and I have written here, mentioned something about where was it? I mentioned something about hike up the mountain. That's what it was. Yeah, it is at the base of a mountain, and there's a bunch of mountains, I guess, which is all part of the same chain there in the middle of New Mexico, and I don't consider myself rugged, but I think I'm a pretty hardy hiker. I mean, I can hike for hours at a time. Well, I totally wussed on this one. This one it blew my mind, because the owner of the property said, well, this particular hike is what she called it, a morning hike. And I said, okay, well, whatever, morning.
Hike.
I'm from Texas. I can, I've hiked in 95-degree, 100-degree weather. I can do this.
Yeah.
And well, since everything had been raining so much in this particular area, there was lots of stuff that was overgrown. Okay. And so I'm in a different territory. I'm like trying to look at the map, and the path, the trail is overgrown. And so,
So you're having to wade through all that.
I'm having to wade through all the overgrown stuff and rocks. And is there a snake under that? So I got a big stick and was whacking at stuff.
And were y'all prepared with tennis shoes and boots?
Oh, it was just me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I had my heavy duty hiking boots on, but
okay.
But there's a gate. I could see the gate, but there's this thicket in front of me. I'm whacking at it, and the gate is overgrown. It's nobody's even gone back there.
And they're letting you hike through this.
Yeah. So I unlock the gate, and
it's somewhere in the building nearby. They're going, okay, we got bats. How long is he gonna?
Yeah. They got their binoculars watching me, right? And I told them it was a morning hike, and so I get to the base of the mountain, and I'm like, okay, well, I think maybe I can do this. But I'm so worn out from whacking at weeds, and from making wrong turns and stuff, and I can only get halfway up.
Oh,
yeah. So I had to stop.
That's too bad.
So anyway. But it was fantastic. It was up in the Gila Mountains, and we could pick up some more of this. I'll try to wrap it up, and maybe we can try to do a little bit of talking about this day in history in the next segment. So
okay, sounds great.
Yay.
Because iTunes is not working right now.
That's nice.
So I can't advertise iTunes right now. But
we're on.
Oh. Thank you.
That's okay.
That was my personal masseuse.
That song ended. That song ended pretty quick. I forgot how short it was. We're sitting here making marketing plans and things like that. So, I never had Jeff come in. I'm still in this position.
There he goes.
All right. So we're gonna.
Hey, I said one of these days I was going to get him in front of the camera.
We're gonna
yes.
Count to 15.
Say hi, Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Oh, that's what I was missing there. I'm not very mechanically minded, so Oh yeah, that's better.
Oh, darn. Missed the Instagram moment.
Yeah, I'm not one. What's that? Oh, missed the Instagram moment.
The Instagram.
Yeah. No, that's better. Now I feel like my spine is compressed.
I tell you, it's your fault that you're tall. Your fault. So once again, I'm talking about my trip, and I trip to New Mexico, and I gotta say it's very different from the last trip I took to New Mexico, because we went to the north part, the Santa Fe Taos area, and this time this was more the middle and the southeastern part of the state, and I've been to the south or the northwestern part of the state as well. And it's even different from that. So, but to the Gila. Yes, we were talking about the Gila monster.
The Gila glyphs, the petroglyphs. That's okay. Yeah, that would be slide 7.
Okay.
That we were kind of sort of looking at there. That is part of the cave dwellings, and I called it. What did I call it?
You called it the conference room.
The conference room. I was fascinated by this particular cave because it's almost perfectly rounded in the back, and I don't know whether they carved it that way or if it just happened to be naturally that way from the water, over millions of years. But the docent, the ranger said that because this is a state park, this is a New Mexico state park, said that the Indians, the natives at this time. Who were called the Magellans or something like that.
The MacGyvers.
It was a tribe that I'd never heard of. So it's kind of a subset of the Pueblo.
Okay.
And if that's helpful, there aren't any of these people around anymore, but they kind of mixed in and blended in with the Pueblo. So
okay.
But anyway, they said that the 50 or 60 folks could actually sit in that little room there and have their powwow. Yeah.
So did it have a little smell to it? Little leftover, lingering, weedy kind of smell?
Oh, peyote smell, you mean?
Yeah, that's what it is.
No, didn't find any doobies laying on the floor or anything.
Well, you wouldn't have found doobie. You would have found peace pipes, or they stuff them and they don't wrap them.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned relics, though, because there is a section where you can climb on a ladder, peer over a wall, and there are corn cobs.
Really?
They claim that they're old, that they're like 700-year-old corn cobs.
Corn cob pipes?
No, corn cobs.
Oh, okay.
Like from,
Oh, okay.
an
Yeah.
actual corn thing.
Right. Okay.
Corn cob.
Yes.
That formerly had corn on it. Yeah, so it's all left out there. And then there's, for the slide number 8 there, I just had to show this because this is
Actually,
funny.
I think, yeah, the bunny.
Yeah, this is a part what they call Mimbres, the Mimbres pottery, and just some of the funky designs that the tribes there did, and some of the things that they found there.
Yeah, that has a.
And I guess they're still, I don't know, I guess they're still making pottery like this now. I guess maybe some of this particular subset of Indian Pueblo is doing this kind of thing. So.
Well, I was going to say that has a very distinctive, to me, it almost looks like something from the Incans or from one of the Mexican Indian.
Well, yeah, they claim some kind of lineage to the Mayans. You know?
Okay.
Mayans, I believe. So yeah, I just thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Moving on, we go to the City of Rocks, which is not to be confused with Rock City, which is in Chattanooga. This is the City of Rocks. I believe is a state park in New Mexico.
Okay.
And there's lots of interesting stuff there. Wild E. Coyote is down there and just off the camera to the left.
Wow. How has it lasted so long? Just balanced so precariously.
I don't know. But the City of Rocks was awesome because you could take your kids there and you didn't have to worry about them getting lost because it's just like a pile of rocks, like in the middle of nothing. So, I mean, you could see them from, if they wander off for 10 miles or so, you could see them.
Yeah.
See them 10 miles out there.
Because they're climbing on the rocks and standing on them. And
Well, yeah. No, I mean, from where you are on the rocks, you can see out. You can see the plains and the prairies and the desert. So.
Because it was just nice, flat.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
There they are.
And then we visited White Sands, which is near Alamogordo. I don't know what the next slide is. Let me see here.
It's a petroglyph, a yo-yo.
Oh, well, this is yet another site that we went to.
Okay. Next slide, please.
This is a petroglyph site, a separate petroglyph site from. Let's see. What was the name of that place? I don't have it here. Huh. Well, it's a petroglyph site in New Mexico, and you can go walking up the trails a ways, and there's a rise in the terrain, and you have and there's just lots of neat drawings and stuff like that. Why is it blinking like that?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, that's what's driving you nuts, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's probably blinking on my end, not hers.
Yeah. It's my end? That's what we're getting.
Okay.
That's the signal we're getting.
Okay,
so we'll move on to the next slide, and that's going to be Alamogordo and White Sands.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it looks like there should be an ocean back there.
There should. The clouds are what just get me on this. The White Sands and the clouds and the rolling, and that is gorgeous.
Yeah. We'll go on to the next slide there. I think is that number 9?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tilted Mountain.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's tilted, doesn't it?
It does.
You know why?
Why?
Because pulls a skink tail punched me in the stomach while I was taking the picture.
Oh. Good timing.
Maybe I know. He wasn't even. You know how he is. He's not even mad at me for anything. He's just playing. You know,
Dad,
just
play
being a boy.
that.
You know, hey, Dad.
Well, there wasn't a skink for him to pull the tail of. So.
No, lots of lizards though. He tried to pull the tail off of. Golly, yeah, there were lots of them. I saw them both in New Mexico and Texas. The same, just basically the same variety too. Kind of a yellow and black striped
Really?
variety. Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know what they call it. Thunder could probably tell you what kind it is. But
Okay.
And then the next slide is our motel in Alamogordo, which is very retro, which we thought was awesome. the owner is great. I was out there taking a picture of it. And she said, "Well, she's an Indian lady. She said, I'm going to turn on the lights in just about 5 minutes." And then she called her room and said, "Oh, you want to take that picture now? You can come on out and take a picture of it."
Oh, that's nice of her.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so, it was very, very clean, and it wasn't spacious or anything, but you know, for a close knit family, I mean, what the heck,
Yeah.
and worth the price, and worth the price of going there and doing all the other stuff. The weather, I do have to say, it is a dry heat. In that area, and it's not like the humid 100-degree heat that we get here. But there were breezes. You're up in the mountains, and you can catch a nice breeze, and it's not totally unpleasant to be outside for an extended period of time. So, excepting White Sands, when we got to White Sands, we went twice. We went in the morning. When we got there for the first time, it was 5 o'clock in the evening. Okay. And so the sun is like baking the white, and the white's radiating up, and it's like you're in an oven. But they have tarps and stuff out there along the trails. And
that's
stuff,
helpful.
So you could stop. Yeah.
Oh, good.
And then the next morning we got these surfers, and that was the other nice thing about that motel is that they
surfers. Yeah,
they got these plastic surfer disc things.
Oh, I thought you meant like people with surfboards going, dude, like you're nowhere near water.
It looks like you ought to be.
Pacific, maybe, but.
There's these big old plastic discs that you can buy. You can either buy them or rent them from the park, from the national park. But our motel, the White Sands Motel in Alamogordo, actually had them out for our use, and we could take them out for the day and bring them back. But we ran down there and hopped in. You can get on top of the top of the dune and write it down. Really? Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So how many times the kids do that?
I think Pulls the Skink's Tail had done it all day.
That sounds fun.
Thunder pooped out after about 5 or 6 times, but
oh really?
And
he must have been tired in the first place.
Oh well, yeah.
Because he's got a lot of energy.
Well,
sometimes
it's displaced energy, I guess. He's got energy in his mouth. But anyway, but that was a fun, unique experience. And then we wrapped it up by I should mention the Flying J show, which unfortunately I don't have a photo of it here, but it's a chuck wagon show that they do in. Alto. It's Alto, New Mexico is the name of the town, but it's right near Ruidoso. Okay, so and most people I'm sure are familiar with Ruidoso, at least if you ski at all. But the show was very entertaining, and the brisket and the food was awesome.
You had me at Chuck Wagon show.
Yeah,
you had me at Chuck Wagon.
Yeah.
It's just a barbecue, baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's very, very fun, very entertaining, and but the highlight of the evening was when we were driving out of Ruidoso. Mm-hmm. We were probably at the top of the mountain, about ready to go down the hill, and just kind of going through the back part of the town, and a bear walks across the highway.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so you're in your car going, everybody be still.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are not food.
Yeah.
So like a brown, black?
It was
It wasn't a grizzly, I suspect.
no, it's not a grizzly. It wasn't a grizzly, but I don't know whether they call them, whether they're brown bears or black bears, or those are the same things. I'm
They're
not
not.
sure. They're not?
No,
Okay.
they're not.
I would suspect it was a black bear because of the location, but
Well, usually you can tell by the fur.
yeah. Well, it was night.
Oh, well, there you go.
So yeah, it was kind of lumbering. I saw something lumbering across the highway. I thought it was a squirrel or something, but
That's a
then,
big honking squirrel.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, when we got closer, we knew it wasn't a squirrel. Everybody knew it was a squirrel. In fact, Righteous Al was like,
Y'all must have seen some big old squirrels. It's skittering across the road.
but
Not letting that one go.
yeah.
Wow. So how close did y'all get to it?
Oh, it was right in front of the car. I mean,
Really?
she slowed down. I mean, she slowed down in plenty of time.
Right.
But it was, it was like,
Yeah.
by the time we got to it, I mean, we were right on top of it. So
Oh, wow.
right
So it
at
just kind of looks at you.
and it just kind of went around and
Sniff you, or?
mind its own business.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I don't know. It went down a crevice or something.
Oh, it's probably used to stranger in the yard. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that something?
That is something.
The next, then we headed out of Alamogordo and the nuclear testing sands and the drones. I saw some drone testing.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
At least that's what I think it was. It wasn't somebody flying a kite.
Well, I wondered why you were glowing a little bit when you got here.
Yeah, right.
It's like, wow.
So then and then that would be your last slide. There was our trip to Carlsbad Caverns. It really is impressive. I mean, if you've never been there, you ought to go. You ought to check it out.
I'd love to, yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about it.
We went ahead and did the full walk, which was probably about 2.5 miles.
Oh, wow. So that took you about 4 or 5 hours, or?
I think we probably spent about 3.5 hours under there. Yeah. By about half hour number. What is that? Number 7, the last one.
Yeah.
I'd had enough.
Wow.
I said, get me out of this damn cave.
So it's that's the only thing is because we went to a cat. There's one south of here near Fredericksburg, and I can't remember what it is. I think you've visited down there.
There's a cave without a name. There's Longhorn Caverns. There's Inner Space Caverns.
Inner Space.
Okay.
I think that's why it was either Inner Space or the one without a name or whatever.
Right, cave without a name.
Yeah, but and of course they had rails where there were drop-offs, and I think we just had Susie was like 2 at the time, and I had her strapped to my waist, just like you can look at me like I'm a bad mom, but if she goes, I go with her.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about Carlsbad Caverns is that you don't really get that. I mean, there's lots of steep parts, but a couple.
But there's not that precarious.
Most of the places, I mean, they got it pretty well railed off, gee, if Pulls a Skig's tail fell down that, I'd be okay, and I could go get him.
That's good to hear, because that other place scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
This place. Okay, stay this way, Susie.
I've been to places like that.
But I've heard wonderful things. That it's just absolutely gorgeous on the inside.
Yeah.
Like you got all the stalactites and the stalagmites, and
lots of color and lots of untouched things and just It's the atmosphere,
The
and
formations.
all that. It's just
Yeah.
it's neat. It's well worth it. So
Oh, beautiful. I'd love to go see that sometime.
well, that about does it for me. Should we move on to what is it? Stump the Expert.
Yeah, about how many questions do you want? I got a few.
You got a few.
I got
huh?
a few.
Okay, well, we'll try 3 and see how we do.
Just 3? Okay. Well, okay, here's an easy one. What does the D in D-Day stand for?
The D&D Day?
Yes. This is kind of a misconception.
Ooh.
Does it stand for deliverance, debarkation, doom, or does it stand for anything?
I don't believe it stood for anything.
It didn't stand for anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of because you hear it called, D-Day, Deliverance Day, Doomsday.
Right.
Because that was, I think, whenever Pearl Harbor was bombed, I think was D-Day.
No. That's D-Day was when we stormed Normandy.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I should get 2 points for that one.
You should get 2. Ding, 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 ding. I forgot the dinger today. Okay. Which popular comedian? I got a couple entertainments.
You know why we're off. You don't have, what's his name? Norman. Oh, no, there he is.
That's Arthur.
Arthur. Oh,
Arthur.
Okay.
Yes, there's Arthur.
Okay. You did remember Arthur.
Yes, I did remember Arthur. So, yeah, when we go on tangents,
Yeah.
which we've not had him to talk. We hadn't tossed him around in a long time.
I know.
Yeah. So, okay, which popular comedian was not offered the opportunity to host The Tonight Show? Groucho Marx, Jackie Gleason, Joey Bishop, or Red Skelton?
Who was not offered?
Who was not offered an opportunity to host The Tonight Show?
So you had, okay, I don't believe it was Joey Bishop. I don't believe it was Jackie Gleason. Either, to me, I mean, I'm thinking either Groucho Marx or what was the last one?
Red Skelton?
I'd have to say Groucho Marx.
Actually, Red Skelton.
Oh.
Which, to be quite honest, would not be a surprise to me, because he's not exactly clean.
Red Skelton?
Yeah, Red Skelton, he's the one that like, he's kind of, well, I guess I can't say much about Groucho Marx either, but he doesn't exactly have a clean mouth.
No.
Or I'm not thinking of another one.
Yeah, you might be thinking of Red Fox.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
Or Red Buttons.
Red Buttons, that's who I'm thinking of. That's him. Yes.
Red Skelton was actually a good Christian gentleman.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad then. Yeah, I was thinking of Red Buttons then. Yes, but yeah, he was never offered an opportunity to host The Tonight Show.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
He's more of a clown comedian than an actual facilitator comedian, you know.
And Johnny Carson was not? I mean, with the big hat and all this stuff. He was a goof. It was a goober. All right. 41-year-old captain who'd have his own claim to fame after the Civil War was second in command at Fort Sumter, and he fired the first retaliatory shot. Who was he?
Simpkins?
Not even one of the choices.
Oh, bummer.
But try that again. Lew Wallace, Abner Doubleday, George Custer, James Garfield.
Well, I knew Lew Wallace was a general.
Okay.
I knew Doubleday was in the war. He's the guy that invented baseball, allegedly.
Really? Interesting. I had to entertain themselves.
Yeah. I knew Garfield was a general also, but I don't think he wasn't involved in the South. So it had to have been Custer.
No.
It was Lew Wallace.
Abner Doubleday.
God bless America. I have lousy powers of deduction, apparently. All right.
What name is associated with Japan's unconditional surrender, September 2nd, 1945?
What name? Mm-hmm. What are the choices?
Potsdam, Treaty of Versailles, Yalta, Treaty of Westphalia.
Well, I should know that. I was just at the Pacific War Museum. I listened to this concession speech.
And this, I think it's World War II. What name is associated with Japan's unconditional surrender in 1945?
Japan's unconditional surrender. 1945. I don't know. I'd say Potsdam, just as a guess.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
Yay!
Gee, right as I was about to lose confidence.
Well, they say always go with your instincts. And you went with your instincts. Okay. Two more.
Okay.
Which founding father had his own 18-step recipe for making ice cream?
Off the top of my head, I would say Madison.
Well, he's one of the choices, but he's not the one. So Madison, Ben Franklin, John Adams, or Thomas Jefferson. And here's a hint. He's also attributed as having founded ice cream, but even though he really didn't, he just...
Well, I thought that was Dolly Madison that founded ice cream. Maybe I've got it mixed up.
Well, this person is given credit for having, but he really didn't. It's like a misconstrued myth. But Dolly Madison may have actually been the one who brought ice cream to America. But this guy had an 18-step recipe. I was kind of hoping that would be a hint. People think he brought it to America, but he didn't.
Did people think that he brought it to America?
Well, the claim that this person...
No, I'm really confused.
They think that there's a myth that he introduced ice cream to the United States.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. It could either be Adams or Jefferson, because Adams was over there, and I mean, they both liked food, and they were both over there in France.
Yes. You're on the right track.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether it was Jefferson or not.
It was Jefferson.
Okay.
Yes, you're correct. Yes.
I mean, that would be,
Yeah, see, your powers of deduction are working, because that's correct.
Well, I thought it was Madison, so I'm totally messed up.
The next time you have to wait for me to give the choices.
Yeah, all right.
Yes, but that's okay. But yes, you were correct. Your powers of deduction are stronger than you think. But yes,
but see, this is why I don't do well on standardized tests. It's like, well, it could be A, it could be C, it could be...
Yeah.
It couldn't be any of those.
But you figured it out. It is Jefferson. And what he did is, when he went over to France, and then he brought it back, and he served it in his kitchen in the White House, and then he, all the time, he served it. He served it in the White House, and then when he wasn't in the White House, he kept serving it for the rest of his life out of his kitchen.
Okay.
And he actually had his own 18, and you can get the recipe off the internet. I mean, because you can. He wrote it down in a journal, and they published it soon after, and so it's still available. Okay,
I'll be darned.
One more question.
Okay.
You may or may not get this one.
Yeah.
But this one's
back in school.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to limit these, don't I?
Well, that's all right.
Okay, I don't expect you to know this one. I just kind of thought it was interesting, entertainment thing. But which of these music videos was not among the first 30 MTV played? And then the choices they give is Message of Love by the Pretenders, Let's Dance by David Bowie, Double Love by the Cars, In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. And then...
Video Killed the Radio Star. Is that not one of the choices? No.
That was actually the answer to the bonus question. Wow! Yes! There is a little... Let's come back to that.
I don't know. I'd have to say Let's Dance, because I think that was later.
Yeah!
Hey, all right.
Yes, MTV. You ready for this? You're better than you think.
See, I got to get warmed up.
Yes, you got to get warmed up. We need the dinger button. I forgot about the dinger button. MTV went live at 12:01 a.m. on August 1st, 1981. It opened with an image of the launch of Apollo 11, and ironically was followed by a video for the Buggles song, Video Killed the Radio Star. So you just named the first song ever played on MTV. So,
all right.
So awesome. You did pretty good.
Hey, do you want to do a quick mention of Camelot's cousin?
I can do a quick mention of Camelot's cousin.
A few years ago, or can I say a few now? when we first started doing this, we interviewed David Stokes, who wrote this Shooting Salvationist, which was about a preacher in Fort Worth from the 1920s who went through a murder trial, and it's supposed to be just kind of he kind of wrote it in not historical fiction. I mean, it was all based upon historical data, but
Right.
he wrote it kind of sensationalizing it and put some of the sensational elements into it.
He kind of Hollywoodized it.
Yeah, and did a great job. And we interviewed him and talked to him about the era and things like that. So, but I noticed that he has a new book out called Camelot's Cousin. So.
Yes, he did, and I downloaded it. 'Cause
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
offered it for free, and if it's free, it's for me.
It's historical fiction, which I don't usually touch anyway. So.
Yeah, that's what I do. And it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's not a suspense thriller as far. Of course, I may not have gotten to that part yet. I'm about 1/3 of the way through, but it's fun. It's a fun read. That's I guess what I would put it as is a fun read.
Good.
And it's about a guy who finds a briefcase in his backyard. And it's a mysterious briefcase, and it turns out to be the briefcase of Kim Felby, otherwise known as Harp. And Kim Felby, and I can say this, there's no spoilers here, it's like revealed in the first 30 pages, but Kim Felby was an American who was recruited to be a Russian sleeper spy. And he got all the way into the echelons of the CIA. And it was a trusted resource. And then, well, they found out about him, and so he had to run and never got back and recovered his briefcase, obviously. And so now, there are people digging into the briefcase and researching the briefcase. And the main character, Templeton Davis, is, really interested in this, and he's wanting to write a book about this briefcase and who owned it, and so now the rest of the book is him investigate, and it's neat because it's about the briefcase that used to belong to a spy, and because it's got little spy goodies in there, it's got a one-time pad in there. And so he's actually divulging not spy secrets like, okay, on this day the CIA did this, but kind of a how they did things kind of thing. And so they actually had a couple of pages where they talked about what the one-time pad is and how you can use it and how you can do one of your, so you're like learning little tricks. I'm thinking to myself, that would be cool. And so it's kind of a stepping into the whole spy thing. And so now where I'm at right now, somebody did something without getting permission with the rest of the CIA, and there's kind of a foreshadowing that he actually did something that's going to put him in trouble. So I'm anxious to see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, wow.
So it's a fun little geeky, if you like James Bond or the idea of, all the little gadgets and things that they did. And
Are you familiar with Burn Notice?
Yeah, well, I've heard of it, yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sounds a little reminiscent of Burn Notice.
Right, yeah, it's an excellent show from what I understand. Yeah, I unfortunately hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's about spies, but and some of the sneaky things that they do, some of the little secrets and stuff. So they're incorporated and thrown in there. So. Yeah,
I'm more of a Chuck fan.
Okay.
Chuck is about a computer nerd who ends up being a spy.
So you like Chloe and not Jack Bauer then?
I finally had to.
Okay.
Although Jack Bauer was a lot of fun for about the first season or two. Yeah. So.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to. What I always say this. We'll have to see about getting him on the show.
Yes. Yeah. I would love to. Well, we had him, like I said, years ago.
Yeah. Sure.
Maybe get him on again.
Sure. That'd be good. The other book that I wanted to mention is called In Our Image.
Okay. Yes.
About the American
and do you have
involvement in the Philippines. No, I don't think we have anything up in there. But
we do have something up.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
Okay.
She's got it.
Written by a fellow by the name of Stanley Karnow. And, me being... not necessarily a newbie to history, but I've been reading, like I said, I've been reading history for years. But every once in a while, I'll come across a book that is well documented and has a lot of good information in it, and has a lot of good scholarship in it. And lo and behold, I found out that this Stanley Karnow, who wrote this, died earlier this year. So he is now the late Stanley Karnow. However, that doesn't mean that you can't read his book, which I'm in the process of doing, and it answers a lot of questions. We learned about the Philippines. We learned that it's we learned in high school that we fought the Spanish-American War and took over Manila and Manila Bay and Admiral Dewey and all that kind of stuff, and at the turn of the 20th century or right before the turn of the 20th century, and now progressive historians and progressive politicians and such will try to use the word imperialist when we talk about the Philippines and our association with the Philippines. But this book actually is well documented and well researched, and so you can kind of get to the bottom and get to the nut of the matter, and just exactly what we did, and how we did. To take over those islands and what was going on over there in that country and our overall policy and how that policy's evolved over the years and how we're different from Great Britain and from France and other imperialists and other colonialists and such. So anyway, it's not that what we did was all good, but I think a lot of things can be misrepresented and misinterpreted when it comes to our relationship with the Philippines, and so this book has been very good at clarifying some of that. I might provide a more detailed review on the website at some point, but once I get finished with it. But it is a good read.
Well, I think it's very interesting. In Our Image, I mean, that's the title itself is almost a slam. I mean, or is it like they were? Why the title? You understand?
Yeah, I don't think I've gotten that far into the book yet to really be able to analyze why he chose that title. I think it's an implication of how we attempted to tackle colonialism or imperialism in the early 20th century, as it was known.
Right.
What were the other examples? The Brits and the French, and the Russians and the Japanese, and so how they approached colonialism. Is that's essentially what they would do? Is they would go to another country
basically the way
and recast that country in their own image. So it's kind of a title that's reflexive of somewhat of colonial attitudes, general colonial attitudes. So that's probably where that comes from. So anyway, the other thing, I guess, maybe we can tackle this in the last 2 minutes.
Yes.
Slam this together.
At least.
Wow. Yeah, I know. I didn't really get to this day in history, but to tell you the truth, I was so focused on
the trip.
I mean, I'm still in
a lot of interesting stuff.
I'm still in vacation mode,
right.
So
Well, and after you watch this, go to, and it's probably going to be, today's Thursday. It'll be there either Friday or Monday. Because we only showed 14 of his pictures, and then of course we only showed a few of mine. There's going to be 2 photo galleries on the website, and so go to nottoolateshow.com, which are probably there anyways. So if it's after Friday the 16th, it's very likely that those images are there, and you can go check out the photo gallery and see all of his pictures and see all of my pictures and see what we've been doing this summer.
Yep, and that's we could cover this day in history for the next one that we do.
Yeah,
I got a large list here. It's
it's
inevitable that I'd get to one of them and I'd want to stop and talk about it. So
yes, well, you have okay. I have to ask you,
already.
What is Macbeth?
Macbeth?
Yes, what Macbeth died.
Yes, Macbeth died on this day.
Oh, okay.
1057.
Yes, 1057.
Yeah. The Macbeth from Shakespeare, right?
Yeah. I guess I didn't realize he was a real person.
Yep, he sure was.
So he was, wow. Was his life really that miserable? I mean, did he really nearly kiss his mom and then kill, and then drive his...
No, that's Hamlet. You're getting them mixed up.
Oh, no, Macbeth's mom was the one who killed someone. The blood.
No, it was his wife.
That was his wife?
Yeah.
Man, I really screwed up. Oh, gosh. But I remember the blood, and that
Yeah, right, yeah.
toil, in trouble.
Yeah.
And so there were the witches. And
Right,
yes,
right.
I remember some of it.
Yeah.
Right
yeah.
about now, my...
I was
Really, Sherry, I do remember a lot of it.
I was in the process of trying to figure out, how much of that Shakespeare was accurate and, what was made
I
up.
don't think, yeah.
I don't think I think all they know is that he was a Scottish guy and and he was assassinated. So.
And his wife killed someone. And
Well, I don't even know if they know that. I mean, that could be.
That was drama.
That's all. It's all in Shakespeare's head.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had something. I had a source or something that I was going to cite, but I couldn't even begin to find it now. So anyway, that to me, I mean, I want to thank Elm Tutoring again for sponsoring us and helping us out and let us tout their wares. But otherwise, we'll give this another shot again next month.